Sports card grading is just an opinion, guys. Yes, it sounds very silly to have to say that, but it's something that we do in fact need to talk to, because I'm seeing more and more things online where people are getting caught off guard when these graders make mistakes or when these graders are inconsistent. And it's one that we've touched on in recent months, but I saw a video today on X/Twitter. I believe it related to the Dallas card show. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And they graded a card with BGS that came back as altered. And I saw this video and I thought, you know what, this is a good opportunity to touch on grading once again and why it's just an opinion and people need to be more clued on to what the risks are when it comes to grading cards yourself. Now, like I said, I'll play the video for you in a second, but the long story short is this individual's graded a card at this card show. It came back as altered. They sold it to somebody else the day it came back graded. That person took the altered card, took the altered slab, I should say, altered slab. They cracked it out and resubmitted it to Beckett. It then came back a BGS 9. So essentially, this card was graded twice in 24 hours by Beckett at the same venue, ideally probably, or you'd think the same grade is looking at it, and they came back with two different opinions on basically 1 or 2 days notice, which is, you know, a bit strange. And this individual was rightfully upset about the fact that BGS had made a mistake. And this individual basically went to Beckett and sort of asked for his money back. So I'll play the video for you now, and then we'll share some thoughts in a sec.
We're having a big issue with Beckett. They promote themselves to be one of the industry standards here in the industry and the card hobby, but we have a major issue. We gave them this card 2 days ago. They had no problem sending it back to us altered. 24 hours later, after we sold it to the guy, he regraded it, comes back Beckett 9. In the meantime, we lost $1,500. We bring them the problem, talk to them about it. They tell us nothing they can do about it. Don't want to call anybody, nothing. We're sorry. Not even offered to refund us our grading. So we're out $1,500.
Now, as you can sort of see there, the guy is, you know, a bit upset. He's since deleted the video. Now, I don't agree with everything that he sort of said, because I see these grading companies as just being opinion-based, and this stuff is not out of the realm of possibility. And whilst he was very angry towards BGS, or not angry, upset towards BGS, he sort of implied that SGC and PSA are not making mistakes like this because they are, you know, the industry standard. I think it's fair to say, firstly, that the same mistakes happen to PSA and also happen to SGC, right? This is, you know, nothing that's, you know, limited to just Beckett. It is, you know, unacceptable in my opinion that you can have one card go to the same grader at the same show and 2 days apart you get very different outcomes. And that's a fair, you know, criticism to have of them, but it's not just limited to BGS. And it is a reminder that you should be, you know, treating these things as just an opinion, right? People are sort of up in arms about the fact that when a grader says something, it should hold strong, right? If they're saying something is altered, it means it's altered. But if you go back to the things I've sort of said on this channel for the last 2 to 3 years, is that's certainly not the case. These companies make mistakes left, right, and center, especially PSA with the volume of cards they're grading, where there's talk around some cards only getting looked at for 30 seconds or upwards of a few minutes. Like, it's insane, right? You can't expect people to sort of, you know, be consistent when you're dealing with the numbers that PSA is. Now, I should say, I don't want you guys to go after this guy or hate on him. I think he's deleted the video because he copped some heat in the Twitter thread because he was basically saying that BGS can't do their job. And people were saying, well, people crack and submit all the time, so what's the difference? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be, you know, expecting PSA and BGS to change their mind when you want to try and upgrade a card and get a better grade, but then complain when they've done something like this. You can't have your cake and eat it too, which I think is a fair thing to say. But I think the guy, you know, was rightfully upset in this situation because you expect more from these companies, but especially when they're grading the same card days apart. Now, I should also quickly say some people in the comments were asking about the fact, well, you know, it's even worse they've made this mistake. They've changed it from altered to a BGS 9 because the card was serial numbered. Surely they've got a database that tracks this sort of stuff. And unfortunately, BGS don't appear to be doing that. I know PSA do track these, but there's many examples in the past of a serial numbered card getting regraded multiple times. So it doesn't appear to be something that these graders are actively monitoring. It's something you expect them to be doing, but it's not something they're actively doing. And it's a big bloody problem, right? You've got these graders that have this, you know, mindset, or people have this mindset about these graders being an authentication service and them standing by their grades. But you see instances like this all the time, not just with this going against the person submitting it, but sometimes you see people getting a card and it comes back a 6, then they send it back in, it comes back a 7, then they send it back in, it comes back a 10, right? You're basically going to get a different number every single time that a card goes in, you know, for the most part, which is, you know, really strange to me. It's strange because people see that and they know that, yet they still pay a premium for a card in a slab. It's just an opinion, guys. These guys, change their mind as often as the wind changes direction, right? It's insane. And it's not because they're actively changing their mind. It's because there's so many people looking at these things that chances are, you're not going to get the same person looking at it, and people have different opinions and people focus in on different things. But even if you get the same person, he could have had an angry phone call with his wife before he decided to grade your cards, and that could be the reason why your card got bumped down a grade, as an example. There's all these nuances and intricacies when it comes to grading cards that I just find it odd and really silly that we as a hobby place so much value on these businesses giving a grade, and that grade meaning the thing that they're saying it does, yet then on the same hand, be so quick and happy to, flip and all that sort of stuff because we don't think they get it right. It's just a really weird situation to be in, and it's something that, should be kept front of mind. These grades are just an opinion. Keep that front of mind. Just because they've said it's a 9 doesn't mean it's a 9. Just because they've said it's a 10 doesn't mean it's a 10. If they've come out and said it's a PSA 1 and you look at it and you think, well, actually, it's a lot better than that, you should be buying the card, not the holder. Very common sense, but it's something that, is lost on many people. And I think we sort of saw it in this instance. Now, I think this individual's maybe caught up in the emotion. I'm not shitting on the guy or anything like that, because I think it's a fair criticism to have of them as a business. But the one thing I want to add is something that we've talked to multiple times in the last, few months, is that, these graders don't all offer guarantees. BGS do not offer a guarantee over their grade. So even if they've come back and said it's a BGS 9, they're not going to stand by you and defend that and say, yes, it is a BGS 9, because if it comes out they graded a fake card or it was altered, you're not going to get any compensation from them for that mistake, right? So again, why are we using a business that can't stand by their own work? I've done a number of videos on this. I put them on screen for you guys to reference. PSA will protect you. PSA do have a guarantee, but not if you are the submitter. So in this case, if this person submitted it to PSA and it came back as altered, and it wasn't in fact altered, he's, shit out of luck there. CGC is the only one that offers a guarantee for both a buyer and, an owner of a card, i.e. somebody that's bought it, after it's been submitted. I think I messed that up. Basically, CGC protect you if you are the submitter, the original submitter, or then an owner down the line is what I meant to say. SGC, very similar to BGS, there's nothing defined within their policy. They go above and beyond to make things right for their customers. But again, it's not defined within their policy. So to me, it doesn't exist. But again, this is just something that we sort of need to keep front of mind. And apologies if you can hear, banging. My daughter's about to go for a bath, my toddler. So she's like smacking doors left, right, and center. So I do apologize for that. But I just thought this was a really good jumping point, a leaping point into this talking point, because it's one thing that people need to be remembering, right? These are just opinions. So why are we placing so much value on them? Yes, we trust these companies over time because they've built up some integrity. But when you're seeing mistakes like this consistently be made, and even the ones that aren't talked about, you go to card shows all the time and you see these cards that are great and you're like, well, how did it get that grade? Buy the freaking card, not the freaking holder, not the label. Keep that front of mind. Why do you still pay premiums for this shit just because it says BGS 10 on there? It's just, insane to me. So let me know what you think down below. I was going to talk about something else today specifically related to BGS. It actually goes back to their guarantee or lack thereof. I'm going to talk to that in a few days' time. It relates to the alt lawsuit with BGS. I'm going to come back to that because I think there's a really important talking point there as well. It's a case that we've covered, a year ago now when it first was brought up, but there's been a few updates that I think are super relevant and they'll tie into what this conversation talked about today. So expect to see that in a few days' time because I think it's going to be an important one as well. Now, as always, guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.